Hi everybody, this is Dave from Dave's Specialty Foods. Welcome to cooking class, kind of virtual style. We're cooking fall harvest stuff. So we're going to kind of go over some stuff that we've either picked or gotten locally or just picked up. We're a little early for fall now, but I think when we do these cooking demos, I want to be ahead of the process, so I don't want to do fresh summer veggies when it's kind of getting towards middle or end of summer, where we can give you something that you can pull out in about a month when your tomatoes are really coming in, your zucchinis are all fully grown, and you can always pick herbs if you're growing those. We started growing herbs this year at our house, so it's first time ever for a chef. I think it surprised a lot of people, but I just don't have time to dig in and get things when they're ready to grow, because I'm always cooking for you guys at work. So welcome, and you're actually in my work kitchen now, my kind of front end work kitchen here. So it's a little bit different angle than being either at the library or being at my shop doing a cooking demo, but this is the way it goes now, COVID style. And these things work pretty good, and we get a lot of good feedback from the YouTube videos and this style of cooking. If you ever have any questions, you can either email me or call us at the shop, and we will walk you through stuff, because I do like when people actually cook our recipes and kind of use them, and or use the technique, or if we show you how to kind of cut an onion or something like that. I love when people are doing that rather than just, ho-hum watching the video. So we're going to dig right in now and go to it. We're going to show you a little bit of some ingredients and kind of what constitutes kind of fall style, apples, tomatoes, that kind of thing. And I think a lot of people think that tomatoes are unseasonal. I don't know, you can get tomatoes in January. That's one of the problems I have with kind of being alive right now, is that we kind of lose sight of, like, when do raspberries, people are kind of complaining about, oh, my raspberries are mushy, like 2 months ago. Well, if you've ever seen a raspberry grow, it wasn't growing 2 months ago. So you're getting it from somewhere else. They're shipping it, they're storing it in trucks or containers or refrigerators. They're not super fresh. Not to say that we can't get something from South America in a day later. That's fine, but you're not getting it at its peak. It tends to be a little more expensive, and it's really not in season. So we talk about fall veggies. We're talking about, late August, early September is when you start getting really good tomatoes. These aren't actually really nice yet, but they're not really local yet, but we're a little ahead of the curve, so they're not as sweet. They smell pretty good. They're not as sweet as they could be. Apples, of course, you think of fall. You can get apples all year long, but you'll see the price come down, and you'll see the quality go up in the fall when these are really happening, and you'll see them start becoming Michigan apples or Wisconsin apples or local Southern Illinois apples. This is a Gala apple. I really like these. These happen to be organic. Fun fact, these will always show up on every kind of, we call this a dirty dozen list, as the number one thing that you should always buy organic. You look up online, what should I buy organic? Apples are always number one. Sometimes they take up to about 120 different systemic pesticides, they're called, that get applied to the apple trees and the blossoms and then the apples themselves. It's really horrific, okay? So it's not a good place to be. And a lot of people think you gotta wash it. Washing a vegetable, a tomato, an apple, a zucchini, only does one thing. I'm telling you right now, one thing. All it does is get off a little dirt and outside, maybe some fingerprints, someone was touching it. That's all you're getting off of that. You can't wash off a pesticide. You can't clean off a pesticide. So whatever's in that water, like Roundup or one of these evil chemicals, gets sucked up into the tree, out of the flower, and into the apple. So completely, washing an apple does absolutely nothing for you if you think you can wash off a chemical. You just need to remember that. When you're washing off a vegetable, just think, you're just washing off someone's fingerprints, okay? That's all you're doing. So we've got great zucchinis that are really coming in now, okay? I'd say in the next week or two, you're gonna really start getting some zucchinis. This is a nice zucchini. See how small it is? Really, really nice. I don't like these big zucchinis. Customers bring them in all the time. They're the size of your arm or my thigh, and they go, oh, look at my giant zucchini. I say, get out of here with that. It's just gross, and they got these giant thumbnail-sized seeds inside, and it's all hollow and stringy. And some people say, in Italy, they would hollow it out and fill it with maybe ground meat and cheese or something like that. Fine. It's okay, but it's a terrible zucchini that you're filling with ground meat and cheese. I'd rather have a nice, beautiful, delicate, small zucchini that's got flavor and it doesn't have any seeds developed yet. So that's what you're looking for, okay? See that? We're gonna use some fresh cilantro, garden stuff, okay? Really, really good. It's happening right now in the garden, and this you can kind of chop down to nothing, and it'll keep coming back and give you about 2 or 3 growths here before you lose that. Very Very fragrant and good. You guys smell that? Very good. Pesto. We're gonna make some pesto with our basil. We'll get to that, okay? That's it. So we've got some tomatoes, we've got some tortillas. So we're gonna make a tortilla soup, which I think is a little bit different. Doesn't really feature too many fall vegetables, but I think it's kind of a nice fall warming soup and something a little bit different, okay? What else are we making here? We got zucchini and tomato puff pastry tart. So kind of that crunchy, vegetable-y, fruity with the tomatoes, and pesto-y little crunch tart, okay? So very, very French. And then we're gonna roast some whole sweet potatoes, which I just pulled out of the oven, so it's still gonna be very, very warm. We're gonna slice that with some caramelized fall apples, okay? So very, very fall. You got the good orange color, and I think we're gonna have fun. So let's dig into it. You've seen me before in these demos, you know I kind of change it up a little bit once in a while. I take some creative liberties, but that's kind of the way I like to roll. I like that. I'm not a really straight and narrow rule follower. So we're going to begin our soup by first. We've got some tortillas here. These are corn tortillas. If you're making tortilla soup, this should always be gluten-free. I love the smell of the tortillas. They're awesome. We're using these little, probably 6-inch, kind of smaller taco shell corn tortillas, okay? These are fresh off the press. We're gonna take these little tortillas and we're gonna roast them in the oven just a little bit, okay? So I tend to just kind of slice these a little bit because the tortillas are really soft right now. And in the soup, they're gonna get kind of mushy a little bit. So we wanna kind of roast these, so when we puree the soup, it kind of gives it a little bit of more body than kind of thickness. Let's make little julienne cuts, I call it, from these, okay? So we're just gonna kind of slice down. You need a sharp knife, you guys. Don't be afraid of a sharp knife. You won't get cut, okay? You get cut more from a dull knife because it's not ripping through your product here, okay? We're gonna do two things. We're gonna have these cut for the soup, okay? We wanna dry these in the oven a little bit so they have this, that makes them a little bit lighter. And you've got the little crunchies that we're gonna garnish on top of the soup. When these are crispy, they're gonna be crispy tortilla strips. So we're just gonna bake them in the oven. I got the oven on 375 right now. And these will be our soup, like about 3/4, and the rest will be a crunchy garnish on the top. I'm gonna take a little pan here and see how we work. Even in the restaurant business and at home, I do this. Don't go grabbing your product and carrying it across. We're just gonna scoop this right onto our pan like this, okay? Make your life easy and organized. Just gonna spread these out nice like that, all right? And we're gonna roast these 375 for about just 5 minutes, okay? We're gonna get this going first so we saute our vegetables. Before I start making something that I've gotta cook for a while, soup, we're gonna do the caramelized apples, I'm gonna do the same technique. We're gonna get the pan hot. We're gonna get a little heat going under the pan already. So I've got myself a really good pan. This happens to be a Calphalon pan. So it's like an all-clad pan without being the brand name. So it's stainless steel on the outside, and it's nickel and aluminum and magnesium and copper on the inside of that pan, so everything is going to be hot here. So it's really, really a good pan, and you're not going to burn your vegetables in a pan like this. And we're going to add olive oil or butter after the veggies are in. It's a very weird thing. I've never seen anybody do this on TV. They've always got you taking a pan, putting some olive oil in the pan, putting the heat on, waiting for the olive oil to get hot. Now you've got this hot olive oil in the bottom of the pan that you've got to now dump some veggies in that are going to splash on you, in that little delicate arm of yours. We want to just put some veggies in here dry. So I've got some onions. See that sizzle, you guys, okay? Carrots. It's called mirepoix, okay? The celery. Okay, see, I've got this prepped already. Why not? Why can't you do this? You got that heat get nice and hot there. High heat, full hot. Why can't you prep a little bit? Why can't you make a little chopped onions and chopped celery so it makes cooking a little more fun? It's not so laborious. We got a little garlic here, okay? Always chopped fresh garlic, not garlic that's in oil or anything. Let's add our garlic right here now. Remember, there's nothing in here, okay? I like to be a little liberal on the garlic with tortilla soup because it's just, that's a soup that can take a little bit more extra garlic. All right, now, a little bit of olive oil in here, right to the veggies, and they'll just start sizzling on you. So let's let those sizzle. We're gonna finish this with some chipotle peppers. So these come in the can. This chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. That's the key, okay? So, and it's chipotle, not chipotle, okay? They're these deep red jalapenos that are smoked, okay? So you've got the smoky smell and supremo heat. These are really hot. I'm kind of a heat wimp with the spices. They're unbelievable. What I do is I take the whole can and I just puree it. These are unbelievable. You can just spread this on a grilled cheese sandwich if you like spicy stuff. Smell that. Oh gosh. Look at the pan here, okay? Very, very hot. Keep it hot because I want activity. I don't want boring vegetables just dying. We want to saute this and build that flavor, okay? Always, always build the flavor, okay? Here we go. Look at that. Beautiful veggies. Browning very nicely for us. Let's add a little bit of tomatoes. Basically now, when you start making a soup like this, everything's set. The cilantro and the corn that we need to add at the end. Let's get it all in there. Bring it to a quick boil. We got a lot of heat in the pan. This won't take more than half an hour. There's no reason why it needs to take 2-3 hours to make a soup. Get these veggies nicely flavored, and you've got that beautiful browning, caramelizing. They're getting sticky. See, they're not falling apart. They're almost like a little snowball of veggies, okay? Get a little tomato going on in here. It'll stop the browning, you know what I mean? It'll add a little cold tomatoes in here. All right? There's a little tomato, celery. Let's get some cumin in there, okay? So a little cumin in there. A little Cajun spice, okay? I buy my spices from a guy in Chicago. So little Cajun spice in there. Don't be shy on that. A little bit of Chipotle pepper. See, remember that Chipotle pepper I said? Easy in the beginning. If you like spicy, I don't care. Other people are eating this. Don't kill them, okay? So a little touch of Chipotle in there like that, all right? Oh, it's going to start like watering my eyes now. Oh, the smell is amazing already. Just a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, boom. A little bit of salt and pepper. Take it easy. Nah, we need more. Okay. Look at this, you guys. You can hear those? Can you hear that crunchiness? This, you might not be able to smell it. You might be able to smell it, though. But you can hear the crunchiness, okay? So the tortilla chips are nice and dried and crunchy. Very, very nice, okay? Let's add these right from the oven right into here, okay? Lots of tortillas. How many? That many. Just add them. Just go ahead and add them. So there's our tortillas. Listen to that. They're crunching away in there. The cumin is sauteing in there. We want it dry. We want those herbs and spices to mix in there, okay? This isn't on the recipe, but this is why you watch stuff like this, okay? Anybody can make a recipe, right? You need to kind of take a little technique in here. Little herbs of Provence in there. Get a little French into Mexico here. I like to make my soups with water because they can be vegetarian, very easy. You can use chicken broth in here if you want. I don't want to go too much here. See how I don't measure anything? Just add it, okay? We don't want this to be too thick. We don't want it to be too thin, but I'd rather have it thick. I can thin it out. If it's too thin, you kind of messed up. Now those tortillas, that crunchy tortilla, now they're gonna get all soggy again, but the crunchiness just gives it a little lighter body than make them kind of gummy and gluey, okay? A little bit of water in here. I got about a quart in there. This is about a third full. Let's let that come to a boil, and that'll be ready. Let's move on to that little zucchini and tomato tart. We're gonna take a little pan here. We got parchment paper on here, okay? Let's take a zucchini. Remember, smaller is better. These big zucchinis, just thank your neighbors when they bring one over to you, but just chuck it in the garbage. You don't want it. We've got a tomato. This is a decent looking tomato, but this is a more decent looking tomato. We've got a lot of red here. Smells very, very fresh. This is not as great as they're gonna get. It's a little bit light here on the shoulder. It's not too bad, okay? Well, I'm gonna go top to bottom. So there's the kind of top to bottom on the tomato. That's not too bad. I got a little bit of white in here, but I do have a lot of good juice and flesh in there. And it does smell very good, okay? So there's your tomato. We wanna cut our tomato in half, okay? Because we wanna kind of make the same size tomato as we have zucchini. So I'm gonna take my zucchini. We're just gonna make a very, very long kind of bias cut, we call this. Don't cut into little coins. You wanna cut long here. We're gonna cut these guys nice and long like that and pretty thin. So you can see this, we're gonna go right in with our knife forward, and then we're gonna just pull back and have these. Look at how long that is compared to the zucchini. You can't get that nice long slice. People say, oh, you have to have a big zucchini. No, small, nice, full zucchini, and we cut in the bias like this, okay? Get our serrated knife out. This is the way to cut a tomato, okay? It won't stop you. You know, your knife tends to cut 2 or 3 slices, and then it kind of gets dull. Look at this. So tomato and the zucchini are the same size. See that? So we have half our tomato and our 3/4 of zucchini. You get a hot pan here, okay? Let's let that just get hot. Remember our soup before? We're gonna saute some onions, very simple. Let that get hot. So this is puff pastry sheet, okay? So you can find puff pastry in the store. Every store has it. And what they do is they sell it like this. It's folded up like this. I think it's a Pepperidge Farm product, okay? It's not bad. It's not like my puff pastry. I sell a lot of this at the shop to people that, just like you, are looking for puff pastry sheets, really good ones. I get mine from Canada. It's all butter. It's good. So they're going to be like this. They're going to be like an envelope folded. So you're going to thaw it out and you're going to unfold it like that. If you've ever done this before, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm a chef. Been doing this for a long time. Worked at a lot of famous restaurants. Why don't you make your own puff pastry, Dave? That's great. If you've ever made puff pastry, you will agree with me. It's a pain in the neck, and it doesn't always work. So even in the French restaurant business, you make puff pastries from scratch. About half the time it would work. The other half the time it wouldn't puff, or it would puff sideways, or it would be flat, or it would puff and burn on the top. So I prefer to buy a puff pastry product that I know can get me through my recipe, and I got other things to do now with my life. So we're gonna cut probably a long tart like this. We're gonna cut a long piece like this, okay? Of puff pastry. So that's ready to go. Let's saute some onions. Let's add them right to our dry pan, remember? Dry pan. A little bit of olive oil, boom. Very, very hot. Look at that. And I'm not splashing all over myself. See that? Really very easy. So what we want to do here, all right, is just simply saute some onions here. We're going to take raw zucchini and raw tomatoes, and we're going to let those roast in the oven. But the oven's not going to cook those onions. So the little details about cooking are what it's all about. You've got to pay attention to your details. You've got to fix the details that you see that aren't right. Something I like to do is see these onions are browning really, really nicely. We don't need to caramelize them. We just need to introduce a little bit of flavor, and they start to really, really smell awesome. And you kind of take away that kind of bitter bite of a raw onion, and you start adding this sweetness. There's a lot of natural sugar in there, and so that's going to brown right away on you like that. And you see you got that nice sauté color? That's all we need. Very, very simple. Just a little touch of salt on there, okay? We've got our little sautéed onions really just off the fire. These can be made ahead, but right off the fire is good too. Nothing wrong with that. Be pretty generous here with the onions, okay? Let's take some egg wash. What's an egg wash? It's just an egg. So I have one egg in here, and I beat it up with a pastry brush, okay? Nothing special. Go to a hardware store and buy a good brush. Don't buy a cheap one because they kind of shed the little brush hairs. Get a good brush. Spend about $5-6 on a little paint brush. Just keep it in the kitchen. Don't put it in the garage. We're just going to get a pretty generous amount on the end of our little brush and brush the tips, okay? Brush the edges here. Brush your edge here, okay? Now what I like to do, may or may not be in the recipe, a little touch of sugar on here. Why? It's not really gotten any kind of flavor going on, so what we're gonna do is hit it with a little bit of sugar so it just has that sweetness on the edge, onions and tomatoes and zucchini in the middle, and pesto just adds a little bit of flavor. My recipe says add pesto to this, and you're gonna brown the pesto and kind of bake it. I don't want to do that. We're gonna add that at the end. Take a little bit of olive oil, always extra virgin, just a little thumb over the edge, and we're just gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the raw veggies, and just a little touch of salt. See this? See that? A little kosher salt and black pepper. Let's throw this in the oven. I'm gonna go hot here. 375 convection if you can, with that fan blowing in there, and we're gonna get this to puff up and roast pretty quickly in about 10 minutes. Be back. So this has been about maybe 15 minutes simmering here. You can see the bubbles going on here. We're gonna turn it off. This is exactly what I thought was gonna happen. It's a little too thick because my tortillas are in there. Look at this. This is kind of looking good, actually. The tortillas completely broke down. I don't want this to be that thick, okay? I tend to like soups a little bit thinner, and I still want to buzz it. So I'm gonna puree this with my little blender. I'll show you. We can always add, we can't take away. So let's add a little touch of water. I just got regular water here. No magic stuff here. I'm gonna add about a cup and a half of water here. The smell is pretty awesome, you guys. See the vapor here? Are you getting any of that waft? So it's like they call this a wand blender. They put it directly into a hot soup, and it will blend it right there for you, rather than putting the soup in a blender and having the top blow off on you. Okay? We've got a little blender. Mine is a high-low on here. We're just gonna get right in here and rip it up. All right. Oh, it smells great. Give it a little taste. Good, but not great. A little bit of salt. All right. It's got enough of that chipotle. Remember that heat? It's definitely got enough of that. Let's put our corn in it this time. I'm gonna actually float a little olive oil in there, okay? So just a little olive oil, I don't want a greasy soup, but I want that flavor, okay? Definitely some more Cajun mix, okay? That's going in there. Definitely more cumin. See how we can add really easily. I don't want to taste this and go, oh my God, it's salty, or it's really hot and spicy. Too late, you can't do anything. A little more herbs of Provence. Okay, let's get our lime going on in here, okay? So you can get a lime squeezer. I just kind of get in there and squeeze it. That's fine. So look at the juice, okay? I usually take cilantro, just take your head of cilantro from the garden or whatever, and just chop right off the top. You can put some stems in there, it's okay. See, I just kind of hit right off the top. See how that that nice little cilantro top has a nice finish in there. I love that. Okay, boom. Soup bowl, boom. All right. There's your little crunchies. I love it. That looks good, huh? Tortilla soup, I think it looks great. You got the little crunchies in there. That's your kind of crouton, okay? I'm gonna put a little bit of cracked pepper on top. Lovely, okay? I like it. We're gonna show you here kind of like a side dish, or I've even done this for vegetarian dinners as kind of almost like a main course. But we're gonna do a roasted sweet potato with caramelized apples, okay? So you got that nice fall color, and you got the nice fall apples, and you got the maple butter flavor, really good. While we were beginning this video, I took a whole sweet potato and just put it on a pan and roasted. This is the pan, and it just came out of the oven probably about a half an hour ago. Now you can see how it just kind of caramelized, just kind of bubbles out of the backs. Look at this. It's just oozing that caramel from the that's natural sugars. So what happens is a sweet potato, which is why the sweet potato is very good for you, it actually metabolizes the sugar while you cook it rather than your body metabolizing a white potato, and your body has to turn the potato into sugar. It's a starch. Your body's going to automatically turn it into starch. The way a sweet potato works is when you cut a raw sweet potato open, there's a lot of white dots in there, and flip, and they turn to sugar, and they literally caramelize like this. Like, look at this. This is like caramel, okay? So we just roasted. We don't put anything on it. Just roast it plain naked. Don't cover it, nothing. This is going to be for about an hour. Just kind of give it a little squeeze, a quick squeeze right in the oven, okay? And if it's pretty squishy, it's got to be like that. It's going to be a nice squish, soft like that, okay? Like that. And you're done. And it's going to be a little puffed up. You're going to see this oozing. Almost every time I do sweet potatoes, they start to ooze that almost brown sugar syrup looking thing. We're just going to peel it nice like this. And it just doesn't go anywhere. It's perfect. These can last 5-6 days in the fridge, okay? Look at this. We're going to peel this up. It's a little bit warm. Let's leave that. We're going to visit that in a second. That's ready to serve, okay? So we're going to take our apples, what I like to do usually. Make sure you're nice, pretty sharp. I like to cut the top and bottom off, okay? So we're going to kind of peel this. Don't use an apple peeler core or whatever. A lot of times you'll see a little browning inside the apple, those little dots, but it's not bruised or anything. It's because it froze in transit or in storage from wherever you bought it from. Now I'm going to get my fire on here. Okay, my fire. Turn on my fire. We got our dry pan. Same idea with these apples, okay? Peel around. Try to use a knife for this, because not a peeler, because this is how you kind of develop knife skills, okay? Get really good at using your knife. Usually when I have people peel apples, this looks really easy, but it's not. We're going to go down and right in the middle, and we're going to cut the middle out. See, we're cutting that middle out with the seeds. So down, cut out the middle. See, so I've got the seeds cut out of it. We just pulled that little middle part, just cut that right off, okay? We're gonna cut these in about thirds, okay? So if I'm making apple pie, this is exactly how I'd cut it. I'd cut my little thirds here like that, boom. Let's take our apples, go right into our pan. Look at that. You can hear them sizzling like that. A little butter in there, a little sugar. Okay, we've already got a lot of sweetness in the apples, but we want a little bit of sugar just to get it going. And what happens is the sugar makes the apple, the juices from the apple start coming out and starts getting wet. You see this? We don't want a super sweet thing here, but we just want to caramelize these with a little touch of sugar. So we've got about a tablespoon of sugar, 2 apples, and about a tablespoon of butter in here. Now look at this, okay? So our sweet potato is going to be, we're just going to plate this sucker right now because it's actually pretty warm. Now my sweet potato is still warm, but theoretically you've roasted this sweet potato and it's cool now, and you can even microwave this if you want to warm it up. I'm a big believer in a microwave for warming stuff. I would never cook any, if you cook this sweet potato in a microwave, I will find you. Give that 30 seconds to heat it up. So, you see, look at our apples. See how they're starting to smoke around the edge? They're starting to get brown. See how when I flip this, you guys? I want you to do this. Practice that. You can do this. I'm not spilling any of them. They hit the end and you just kind of bring it back. Or if you're uncomfortable, just go over your sink. Go by your sink and flip, flip, flip. They'll fall a little bit and it's fine. These are caramelizing really, really nice. You see the brown in there? Now, let's get our little sweet potato. Look at how sexy that is, okay? It's just perfectly cooked, okay? It's soft and completely mushy. If you ever open a sweet potato and you look at this, I'm barely pressing on the knife. If you ever cut a sweet potato and it's not that mushy, it's going to be bitter and stringy and not good. It's got to be completely cooked like that. So we're going to slice our sweet potato like this. Look at how nicely this slices like that, okay? So we're going to put a bunch of chunks of sweet potato in there. Look at this. Look at our apples. Ooh, they're hot. See See how the browning here is picking up? It's kind of deglazing itself onto the apples. And we've got a nice looking, really, really awesome apple, okay? And the smell, oh God, that smells really good. We want to soften up just a little bit, much more, okay? Now we're gonna put some syrup. I got some maple syrup kind of portioned out over here. Now make sure it's good maple syrup, okay? So use a little touch of butter to finish this off and make kind of a juice here, okay? There's those apples. I want them to go up like that. A little touch of butter, okay? About a half a tablespoon of butter in there, okay? Let that melt around. By the way, these apples can great on like a pork roast or a pork shoulder, little pork chops and applesauce. Great for this. Okay, now look at the juice in there forming. A little bit of maple syrup in here. Okay, drizzle the syrup on there. Now, time out. We gotta make sure our sweet potatoes have taste, okay? So a little bit of salt and pepper right on the plate. We're just gonna plop these apples right on top of that sweet potato. Holy cow. That's, again, side dish with like a pork roast or something. Pretty easy. You can make that sweet potato 3 days ahead of time. All right, you guys, look at this. All right, that's the tart that we cooked. Look at how good that looks, okay? See how the zucchinis kind of soften up like that? You got the onions that are hidden under there. Look at this little tart, okay? Look at the backside of it. Pesto's another day, okay? But look at my pesto. We just made that yesterday. The smell is unbelievable. Always 5 things: fresh basil, olive oil, garlic, freshly grated Parmesan cheese, not Parmesan cheese from that green bottle stuff, okay? A little touch of salt and pepper. That's it. We're gonna buzz it in the blender. And so I always add a little bit of extra olive oil to it. Give it a little stir here and just start using it. Put this on pasta. And this is where your recipe says to put this on and bake it like that. We don't want to do that. We want to add it right at the end. We're going to change that. Even if I wrote the recipe, sometimes I'm wrong. I've been wrong like 3 times in my life. I think that was one of them. Look at that, you guys. This is amazing. It's just clean and really, really, really nice, okay? Let's taste this. We tasted our soup. Let's taste this. So everybody, bon appetit. Keep cooking. We'll see you next time. That's awesome. Peace.